Most people are looking at this wrong and they're getting liquidated at the market. So if you want to avoid that, let me show you how I do my due diligence so I can trade with a lot of safety. There's a huge margin between me and getting liquidated or losing money. So let me show you right here with options what we do. Let's jump right into it. Well, another week and actually another month. So welcome to the month of August. If you are in the northern hemisphere, you most likely are summer maxing and enjoying your life. But for the few of you that are watching from down below the equator, well, this is usually a good time for you to start grinding, which is exactly what I'm doing. I've been going deeper with options than I've been this year, and I'm having very good results. And now with the coming of tokenized assets that we even talked about before, RWA in crypto, which is solving a lot of problems. Example for me, which I'm not American, I usually don't use interactive brokers because interactive brokers sucks. And for example, I cannot use Robinhood because you need social security, and for a bunch of other factors. A lot of us are going to crypto as a way to find money or find where to park our money. And currently, it is not looking good. This bear has been brutal, especially if you are a KOL, a content creator, and you work in Web3 like I do. You've seen there's a lot of layoffs right now happening. There's a lot of very uncertain periods here with crypto. So that being said, a lot of people have resorted to trading. So there's a lot of meme coins now pumping, especially on your Robinhood and now Solana once again. These chains are kind of bubbling again, like we've not seen in a few months, actually almost a year. Last summer when we started seeing these meme coins, and then we had the whole the pump.fun live streams and these sorts of things. But now we're having RWA and we're having meme coins on Robinhood chain, and with that, options on chain for these assets is no longer just a belief, right? We are starting to see some of these pop up. So a lot of people have been going back into options and back into crypto options. So let me show you here what is my strategy, what am I doing, and what I believe that the market will do, especially considering last video where it said that hype was going to go below 55. We actually dipped all the way to the 50 here. So 50 was a huge entry point for whoever. And what do you think? Is it going to be bullish again? Is it going to be still bearish? Well, I'm going to talk about it in today's video. So let's jump right into it. But before we start talking about charts and assets, let's actually go to the topics, because I usually end with this, but I would like to start with this, which is that the vault that we have, our copy trading strategy vaults, they are performing fantastic. So last month of July, we closed at 2.1% in the Bitcoin option strategy. This one is only Bitcoin. It only trades Bitcoin options. And then on the altcoin option strategy, that one closed at 3.4% in this month. So last month, actually, July. So it was fantastic. We haven't seen 3.4 in quite a while. The best month that we had was April. So if you remember, we started the year very, very strong, but then we kind of lost the momentum, we kind of lost the mojo, and then volatility started dropping, and that became an issue by itself. But now with 2.1%, that is fantastic. So we're happy to see these numbers. So if you're part of the people that deposited here, most likely you're going to be very, very happy. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because fantastic news should be celebrated right on in the beginning of the video. But now let's jump to our currencies. If we start right here on CoinGecko, Bitcoin is currently at $63,000. Then we have Ethereum right below the 1900. It is at 1865. Then we have BNB at 579. We then have XRP at 106. XRP is losing cents by the time that I watch it. So Solana is at $72. Then we have Hyperliquid at $51.93. And then we go to Zcash at $463. Monero at 362. And if you have any other that you like, maybe Stellar at 17 cents. But for me, I think it stops right here. The Fear and Greed Index, we are currently at 28. Fearful still, but it is going up. As you can see, the bottom for last month of July was right here on the 8th, where we got to 20. And the month prior, we've seen some bad numbers. July 1st, we saw 11, but then in June, we saw 8. So June was not a good month when it comes to the fear and greed index. So what the market was feeling, the market was very fearful, but now it seems that the belief that things are not at the bottom anymore. I think people are starting to see or to believe that we've done the bottom. But if we look right here at Bitcoin, let's start first with Bitcoin. We're still sideways. Of course, this is since June. So since June, we've been sideways right here between this 66.5 and the 58.5. So we've been kind of going around. The Bollinger here was very tight, and now we're kind of chilling. We've been chilling for quite a while. And if you remember that I told you that this happened before right here, and if you actually zoom out, you see that we've been kind of chilling sideways for quite a while. Ever since we lost the 80K, and we kind of have been going sideways inside this bigger range right here between the 57K and the 80K. So we've been bouncing up and down, and now we are in a range inside a range, which is something that we saw before right here. So not necessarily bullish or bearish on Bitcoin when you zoom out. We're right here in the we're still not oversold, but we are at the bottom of the RSI also, and it looks like we could have a momentum right here at the moving average. If we conquer this moving average right here, we can try to go upwards towards the 200 moving average, which is around the 69,000. If we break the 69,000, we're going to be going upwards towards right here, the 78,000. But interesting enough, usually when you see a huge gap right here between the 100 and 200 moving average, it tends to start closing the gap. And it seems like it's what's about to happen right here. We are about to close the gap, which doesn't mean that we're going to go up. You can see that from when we started, you can see right here that when we started to close this gap, meaning that the blue line started to point downwards. Well, first of all, this gap has never closed in the 1 week time frame, but also that we spent months right here, yeah, almost a year here sideways still between 2022 and 2023 before we had a pump in price. So maybe we are getting to that point that we're going to go sideways still, maybe sideways and a little bit upwards, maybe towards the 70K once again, before we start having any sort of important and empirical movement here when it comes to Bitcoin. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, but still not very bullish or bearish. This is pretty much a crab market when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, looking at Ethereum has a little more interesting vibes right here. Doesn't mean that it's bullish, it's just that it moves a little bit more. We are testing right now the 100 moving average, which right now is below the 200 moving average, but it is starting to point upwards. So again, this is turning, still not bullish, but it's turning somehow bullish on the daily. If you look at the weekly, we were at the bottom a few weeks ago, so in the mid of June, which is when we marked these two bottoms, these two bottoms right here, which was around the 1500s. And the 1500s is actually a strong place that brings us all the way back to 2025, 1500s are here, and all the way back to October 2023, the 1500s once again. So we've been holding 3 times now this, and most likely now means that we will have some sort of strength. Again, this is just speculation. We need to confirm it visually right here before we do anything. But we broke through this 9 moving average right here. We have to see how we do. Again, remember that the 100 moving average extends far and then it starts to close down. It extends far and then it starts to close down. So maybe right now we're going to extend up again if we've done it multiple times. So I'll keep an eye on Ethereum to see if on the weekly or on a longer time frame we have something to do. But Ethereum just doesn't look bearish, but also doesn't look as bullish as we would like. Again, if we go back to the daily, you can see it clear right here that we are on a very tight Bollinger Bands, and I like Bollinger Bands. You may not like it, but I think Bollinger Bands is good to show us a direction. It's very good to show us that something, a huge movement is about to happen, especially when they funnel up and tighten, the bottleneck becomes very tight, because this could mean an explosion in price. So if that happens, I'm gonna be ready to maybe sell a call or even speculate direction, right? So it's something that I need to take a look. Now, for Hyperliquid, which is one of my favorites right now in the cycle, and it has been performing poorly in the past few days. And if you remember right here, I started selling. And if you remember right around here, I started saying that this was overbought. Even though I like and I would like to see it at $100, it needs to do it slowly rather than quickly, right? So It was a huge push. We stayed multiple days in the overbought region. Then we crashed down towards the 50 once again. And then we started becoming very, very bullish. Once again, we did all-time highs and then we lost that momentum. But we held. You can see we clearly held right here until we didn't. Again, why did we not hold? Because look at this. This formed almost like a flag right here. But you can see that we started losing the tops. So we're starting losing tops, meaning that we're losing top momentum. And then when we broke right here, it clearly fell down. And now it looks like it's going to touch the 9 moving average, and we have to see if it's going to break or it's going to hold. For my position, I'm pretty safe because we're currently 20% from that price, and it expires this week. So I have a Hyperliquid trade open, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be any danger to me. Of course, I can be biting my tongue right here saying this, but again, I have so many resistances right here before it gets to my strike that even though it starts going down, by the time they get closer, the Bollinger Bands will be already below my strike, which means that we will have a lot of ceilings between the current price and the expiration that I'm having for Hyperliquid. But still, whatever decides here tomorrow or the day after is what's going to be showing us the next path. If it's going to go down, if it's going to keep going up, meaning that it broke right here and it kept going up, or if it's going to, try to break this, but it's not going to have enough strength and then it's going to start going down again. We have to see how things will play out right here. Now, going to Solana, Solana doesn't show anything at all. So looking at Solana right here, Solana doesn't have enough volume. You can see that from October last year, it started slowing with the volume. Look at the volume just going away. And now we're like so tiny, so insignificant right here that we have barely any green candles or any important green candles right here. All the volume is usually negative, way more than it is positive. Again, this is what happens in a bear market, especially with altcoins. Altcoins tend to kind of become like a raisin, right? It sucks all the life in the air and the juices out of these altcoins, and they become just like raisins. But we would have to break above and hold above the 78 for me to be bullish once again on Solana. Now, looking at the liquidations, we've had 215 million, meaning $250 million liquidated in the past 24 hours. 54% was short liquidations, and then the rest were long liquidations. But you can see, this is something that I told you before. You're starting to see, for example, SpaceX right here. You're starting to see Microsoft, SK Hynix. You're starting to see a lot of assets, traditional market assets here. Blockchain is becoming a tech used by big players. And this is huge when it comes to cash inflow. So not necessarily for a specific coin, but more towards liquidity and in liquidity on chain, meaning that more US dollars, more tokenized assets are going to be present, meaning that you're going to need more dollars to provide liquidity or to bridge to these chains, which kind of revives the whole chain itself or the chains affected by this. So I would like to sell a 2K, maybe a 2050 call. So let's go to the topics right here and go to Ethereum. I'm gonna sell a call for the 7th. Let's see the 2K 4583, which will mean around 1.2% this week. 1.2% is legit, so I'm just going to click on sell, and I'm going to sell this right here, collecting 1.2% if I close, if Ethereum stays below the 2K by Friday, which is doable. And let's actually do that with Solana as well. For Solana, Solana would go for a 78 maybe, or even 80. 1.16 on this as well. So yeah, this is legit. I'm going to sell this as well. So I sold a 78 call and a 2K call for Solana and for Ethereum. So this will be it for today. We've done a couple of trades. We've talked about the market. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I would love you to share ideas or to share this video with whoever is interested. Let me know how you trade, how you perceive the markets in this near future. So comment down below. I'm always happy to hear your thoughts. Thank you very much. Take care. See you next week. Peace.